Hi everybody, it is January 2nd, 2016. Well, things in Burns, Oregon certainly have turned. This is on RT, and I will link to it below. Armed militia, including Bundy brothers, occupy Forest Reserve headquarters in Oregon, calling U.S. patriots to arms. I just heard from somebody who's there who said that this just kind of happened. This doesn't just happen. I frankly think that this was organized, and unfortunately, a lot of people who were in Oregon were not informed that Blaine Cooper and Ammon Bundy were going to be taking over the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge headquarters to protest the pending imprisonment of two Oregon ranchers accused of arson, arguing the federal government has no authority in local cases. Okay, I'm going to play this video, which they've taken over the headquarters, and here's Ammon Bundy, and then later Blaine Cooper.
So we have basically taken over the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge, and this will become a base place for patriots from all over the country to come and to be housed here and live here. And we're planning on staying here for several years. And while we're here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be freeing these lands up and getting the ranchers back to ranching, getting the miners back to mining, getting the loggers back to logging, and where they could do it under the protection of the people and not be afraid of this tyranny that's been upon them. And what will happen is Harney County will begin to thrive again. And one time they were the wealthiest county in the state, now they're the poorest county.
Yeah.
And we will reverse that in just a few years by freeing up their land and resources. And we're doing this for the people. We're doing this so the people can have their lands and their resources back where they belong. And it's really that simple. But we're the point of the spear that's going to bring confidence and strength to the rest of the people. And we're calling people to come out here and stand. And it's really that simple. We have a place for you now. We have a place for you to come. We have a place for you to get to stay warm. We have food planned and prepared. We need you to bring your arms, and we need you to come to the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge.
You guys,
Thank you.
this is Blaine Cooper. I agree with what Ammon said. And bring your arms, and if you guys have bullies in high school, anybody? They always kicked the crap out of you, and you got sick of it at one point, didn't you? And you had to put him in his place. I had to knock mine out, and we became best friends. Now I'm not going to be best friends with the BLM. The point is, until that line is drawn and say, we've had enough of this tyranny, you are going to leave us alone, it will not change. And you guys see, this is the power of America right here. People got together for this. It doesn't have to stop here. This could be a hope that spreads to the whole country, the whole United States. Everybody's looking for this hope because the government has beat us and oppressed us and took everything from us. They will not stop until we tell them no. Period.
Exactly.
We drove 1,000 miles to get here. We feel the same way. That's why we're here. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, the bully always fears the retaliation.
Yeah.
Because they never think you're going to retaliate.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so splinter group of militia have occupied the headquarters. There are 3 Bundys in the building. Ammon, Ryan, and Mel. The scene in Burns Saturday morning as protesters gather in support of 2 ranchers going to prison. Alright, well, apparently it is a splinter group based on what I heard from somebody who's there firsthand, that, a lot of people there didn't even know that this was going to occur. But based on what I see, it does seem organized, like they had planned to do this. I can't speak to much of what is going on because I'm not there, and I like to get firsthand information before I, post anything. But it is clear that 2016 is going to be quite the year for the United States, and there are a lot of Americans who are getting very, very, very pissed off. The federal government is a bully. The federal government is taking over. The federal government has limited powers, and unfortunately, we the people have allowed the federal government to expand its powers. And yeah, it is time for Americans to start acting to take back their power from the federal government. And I do want to point out that, the Hammonds, Dwight and Steve Hammond, they were domestic terrorism charges. Domestic terrorism charges. Apparently, the statute of limitations on all other charges ran out, so the federal government had to file domestic terrorism charges because they lit a backfire that I guess expanded an acre. A rancher in Oregon. He's 74 years old, and he's off to do time, which he had already done time, but the federal government wasn't happy with it. You gotta make sure that apparently there was a mandatory sentence under this domestic terrorism charge that he served 5 years in a federal prison. When do we stop the federal government for these expanded powers? When do we stop the federal government from just passing any legislation that it wants? And everything suddenly becomes a crime. And the crimes of lighting a backfire that actually expands an acre is now considered domestic terrorism. That is what is so upsetting to me about this. And that they are putting this man in jail for another 5 years. At 74 years of age? This is what our country has come to? As a domestic terrorist, he goes off to jail, turning himself in. Wow, what a terrorist. I'm really afraid of Mr. Hammond. Action does need to be taken. But again, I don't know what is happening here. And but I do think that we are going to see a lot more action this year. That's for sure. Anyway, guys, if I hear anything else about this, I'll certainly post it. And the link is below. Happy New Year.